sagen, gehen wir rein in das erste Video. Did benching Russell Westbrook save his career? Ich glaube, ich habe noch nie in meinem Leben so clean Russell Westbrook gesagt.
Been a bigger disaster than the Hindenburg. He has looked awful at every turn, all while making some of the most... Russell Westbrook on the Lakers has been a bigger disaster than the Hindenburg. He has looked awful at every turn, all while making some of the most money per year of any player. Because of this, it's been speculated that when his contract expires, Russ won't even have a place in the NBA anymore. But a recent change to his role in the NBA and for the Los Angeles Lakers might have very well saved his career.
Hätte ich auch, muss ich sagen, hätte ich niemals gedacht, Digga. Hätte ich wirklich niemals gedacht.
For those of you who might not be aware, let me elaborate on what this big change is for Russell Westbrook. The decision to bring Russ off of the bench by Darvin Ham has proven essential in making Russ a functioning and good-ish NBA player again. Russ seemed reluctant in the past to embrace this role, but after Ham finally made it happen, it's become clear that it is the best path for Russ going forward. Now, I must say I was quite skeptical of the idea that bringing Russell Westbrook off of the bench would make any difference at all. Frankly, I think a lot of people get way too hung up on the idea of bench versus starter. Really, there's a stigma around it, but ultimately, if you're gonna play 30 minutes a game, which Russ has been before and after this move, ultimately there's gonna be a lot of minutes where he overlaps with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and
Egal, ob er von der Bank kommt oder nicht.
There's going to be weird fit stuff, and that's just how it is. Really, there is a world where Russell Westbrook could technically start, but the Lakers' rotation just changed where he was in the minutes, and that's made a world of difference. So it's not so much that he's coming off of the bench, but rather what coming off of the bench means for the Lakers' rotation and when and how Russell Westbrook is being utilized. So I still do think the fact that it's the bench is an overrated factor, but the rotations have allowed him to play against bench units more. It's also reduced the overlap in minutes between him and LeBron James because Russell Westbrook is significantly worse when LeBron James is on the floor.
Weil es beide die gleichen Spieler sind, Bruder. Russell Westbrook ist die kleine Version von LeBron James. Ist einfach der gleiche Spieler, bloß macht alles schlechter, Digga.
When he's able to be the lead ball handler at his own devices against bench units, he's actually able to prove to be a somewhat positive player. Off of the bench, Russ is averaging 18, 5, 8, and 1.5 stocks, that being steals and blocks, on 44, 41, 81 splits. Even his jumper has drastically improved since this change. He's shooting 41% from 3 on over 4 attempts per game, which he's shooting 41% from 3 on over 4 attempts per game.
Da steht aber 38%.
Which is really as good as you could ever ask of Westbrook. Now, by no means are these anywhere close to the MVP level numbers that we've come to expect of Russ prior to his Lakers tenure, but these are also not bad stats, and the main standout, they're coming fairly efficiently. It's especially an improvement when you compare it to what he was doing in his first 3 games starting this season, where he averaged 6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and he was doing so on 15% from the field.
Das ist Hardcore, Digga. Brauchen beide viele 3D-Leute um sich herum. Da hast vollkommen recht, Digga. Viele Leute, die einen angekommenen Pass direkt verwandeln können. Die nicht nochmal selber anfangen müssen zu slashen oder sowas. Und das war immer das Problem zwischen Russell und LeBron.
Didn't hit a single 3 out of all of his attempts, and 80% from the line, so at least he did one of those things right. But what concerns me is I'm not sure how much we can expect this to actually hold up for Russell Westbrook. I am seeing a lot of people act like Russ is just completely solved and like this is just him now, as if overnight he became a 40% three-point shooter. All it took was him coming off of the bench. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how basketball works. Maybe he's getting a few more clean looks from 3, but he's never been a good three-point shooter with clean looks. He wouldn't.
Das war immer das Ding bei den Lakers, Digga. Die haben auf dem Papier immer ein gutes Team gehabt. Bloß die Chemistry hat nicht gestimmt, weil es halt auch vom Spielstil viel zu ähnliche Spieler waren. Die Big Three von Lakers berufen sich darauf, in die Paint zu gehen, Digga. Anthony Davis, LeBron James und Russell Westbrook. Das sagt doch schon alles, Digga. Mit Braun, AD, Russ, Schröder, Pat, das ist schon ein guter Playoff-Contender. Das könnte sein, Digga. Aber lassen wir uns nochmal überraschen, ne? Die Season ist halt immer noch jung.
Wouldn't be a 40% guy if he only took open threes in his career. He's just not a shooter like that. You don't go from statistically the worst volume three-point shooter basketball has ever seen to 40% on 5 attempts. That's just not something that happens. I would be absolutely perplexed, absolutely shocked, absolutely befuddled, whatever, you know, Stephen A. Smith, that rant you're looking for. Dang, I said a curse word. I said dang instead of dig. Oh, just censor it. But I would absolutely be surprised if Russ actually maintained anything close to this three-point percentage. You know, maybe if it was 37%, I could believe you on that. But what he's doing right now, that's not going to maintain itself. And in fact, to kind of prove my point here, over his last 3 games, at the time of this recording, he is back to 34% from the field and 31% from 3. So I don't expect these shooting woes to go anywhere. That's just who Russell Westbrook is at this.
Ja, wahrscheinlich wird er auch bei diesen Werten jetzt bleiben, 31-30%. So, guckst du Kobe Björn? Nicht aktiv, Digga. Aber ich hatte eigentlich auch schon mal vor, also ein Video von ihm hier auch zu gucken.
Point. Speaking of who Russell Westbrook is, he is still, quite frankly, very high in turnover rate. He is still averaging over 4 a game to his 8 assists, but he has looked a lot more confident and decisive. He has been a lot more capable of reading a play and immediately making a decision, and that decision not always being a dumb one. Sometimes it's the wrong decision, but it's better than the indecisiveness that we started to see from him in LA due to his confidence being shaken. A common thing that I see people say about Russell Westbrook from his Lakers tenure is almost that he's too confident, but frankly, at this point, I feel like Russell Westbrook has become timid and scared of basketball in a way because of the reaction to his play in Los Angeles.
Habe ich auch das Gefühl. Ne? Ab und zu schaue ich mal bei ihm rein, ist eigentlich ganz gut eigentlich. Also ich gucke von den Deutschen aktiv immer nur, also vor allem auch offstream, Just a Kid from Germany, der gefällt mir halt sehr gut, der ist auch mit den Stats und sowas immer top dabei. Bloß der macht den 720p, das fuckt mich ein bisschen. Aber ja, nee, Max Sport habe ich mal probiert, aber das Video konnte ich mir nicht lang geben, weil er über ein Spiel berichtet hat, was ich auch schon gesehen habe. Und deswegen, das war eigentlich nur so ein Augenzeugenbericht, anstatt jetzt so wirklich Stats zu zeigen und warum irgendwie was passiert ist, weißt du. Findest du Tatum MVP-Contender? Oh, schwierig. Dieses Jahr der MVP-Contender ist, glaube ich, eine der schwierigsten Fragen überhaupt, Digga, weil das so eine verrückte Season ist. Weil wir auch genug Spieler haben und letztes Jahr Jokic hat es bewiesen, du musst nicht Top 1 bis 4 sein in deiner Conference, um irgendwie MVP zu werden. Jokic, glaube ich, mit 8. oder so oder 7. Contender MVP geworden. Deswegen, Digga, viele schlechte Teams, die Spieler haben, die gerade auf MVP-Level spielen. Viele Spieler allgemein, die auf MVP-Level spielen. Das wird ein ganz dickes Ding, Digga. Ich möchte auch noch gar nicht sagen, wer MVP wird, Digga. Noch gar nicht. Mein geheimer Favorit ist immer Steph Curry.
Like, I don't mean to suggest that Russell Westbrook is like scared of NBA fans booing him when he misses an open 3, but I do think he's gotten enough negative criticism that it's finally gotten through to him and it's caused him to...
Er hat sich auch geäußert gegen die ganzen Kommentare gegen ihn, Digga. Also wird es auf jeden Fall an ihn kratzen.
Not really play with the intensity and the swagger that we know him to play with. And as much as you feel like you're getting a reduced version of him and a condensed version of him, and that's more maintainable, at the same time, while it's more maintainable, it can also be worse. And I think in the case of Russell Westbrook, it has been. Now, I don't want this to come off as though I'm making some, like, let Russ be Russ argument, because that was a dumb argument. If a player is being bad, criticize them and tell them to stop. But I do think this bench unit has maybe made Russ feel a little less like every mistake he makes is going to blow up in his face.
Ich glaube, das war auch ein bisschen das Starterding, weil er dadurch das Gefühl hatte, er ist immer auf der großen Bühne, sowieso in LA, nicht mehr OKC oder Houston, weiß ich meine, ist alles nicht so die Basketballstadt, aber LA, die große Basketball-City. Ich glaube, das erleichtert auch sein Mind, dass er halt dadurch einfach besser spielen kann. Weil, haben wir auch oft gesehen, Basketball ist halt ein brutales Kopfding, Tatum hat eigentlich nicht so gute Defense, Jokic nicht so gut genug mit seinem Team, also klar, im Moment wäre ich halt bei Tatum oder Giannis. Das sind auch gute Picks, Digga. Mit Giannis kannst du auch niemals falsch gehen, der Bruder. Giannis auch eigentlich the next big thing mit Luka Doncic in der NBA.
And
Giannis ist aber jetzt schon da, Luka fast.
Him feel like he's making more of an impact for once, and that has bolstered his confidence, which hopefully will not manifest as a bunch of dumb shots going forward, but at least right now it is manifested as him being decisive on his drives, decisive on his plays, and has overall improved the production of Russell Westbrook. Where Russ off of the bench has also been helpful has been with the Lakers starters not having to deal with his presence as much, and subsequently the bench unit can benefit from Russ's presence. Now, as the title suggests, has this move saved Russell Westbrook's career? Is this going to keep him in the league when he otherwise wouldn't have been? Well, I still think there was a possibility he would get some sort of contract next season after his expires this year, but ultimately definitely not on the Lakers, and it wouldn't be a great opportunity for him, and he'd probably fizzle out.
Meint ihr, Russell ist nächstes Jahr noch bei den Lakers oder switcht er? Wird er getradet?
Now, if this maintains over the full year, obviously not him shooting 40% from three, but him just looking like a plus NBA player in the right circumstances, especially if those circumstances were even more ideal than the awful spacing around him in LA, there would at least be some argument that Russ can contribute something as a sixth man to a pretty good team, or just simply bring some excitement off of the bench for a not so great team and some mentorship. So to that end, I do think this, if it maintains to some degree, will be enough to guarantee a contract for Russ next year. Now, what he does from there will determine if he has a career that extends past that, but at the very least, this is a very good turning point and one that will hopefully spell not disaster and not the end for Russ's career, because at this point, almost every update we've gotten about him has been negative. The Lakers...
Er geht weg, Free Agent halt. Oh, bin ich mal gespannt, Bruder. Bin ich mal gespannt. Das Ding ist, man sagt ja auch immer so ein bisschen Le GM, wenn LeBron in einem Team ist. Und LeBron und Russell sind halt wirklich so miteinander. Deswegen will ich da noch nichts sagen, Bruder. No,
still suck. This has just been a band-aid for them at best. If anything, I think it's proven what I've been saying for a while, and that is that Russ has been a huge problem, but it's almost blocking the view from all the other problems the team has. So now that he's not really the main problem, well, there's other areas you gotta blame. Did this save Russell Westbrook's career? I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out.
Sehr gutes Video. Sehr gutes Video. Muss ich auch nochmal ein Like da lassen, Digga.
On the Lakers has been a bigger...
Also ich bin der Meinung, dass er bei den Lakers wahrscheinlich, genau wie du, weg sein wird, ne? Vor allem wenn er Free Agent ist. Die Lakers sind nicht nochmal bereit, vor allem so viel Geld für Russell zu geben. Ich bin aber gespannt, wo er unterkommen wird. Und ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass er so die Mentorship-Rolle einnimmt. Das kann ich mir irgendwie nicht vorstellen bei ihm. Keine Ahnung warum. Aber ich glaube nicht, dass er der Mensch dafür ist. Aber ja, das tut ihn auf jeden Fall auch sehr, sehr gut, dass er von der Bank jetzt kommt. Ne? Wie ich eben schon gesagt habe, ne? Er ist halt nicht mehr im Rampenlicht, er ist nicht mehr die Nummer 1. Ne? Hat er auch am Ende nochmal gesagt, er ist nicht mehr das Nummer 1 Problem. Ne? Deswegen, das passt ihm ganz gut. Er kann ein bisschen freier spielen, ein bisschen open-minded. Aber ich würde halt immer noch nicht sagen, dass er back zu seinem MVP-Level ist. Lange nicht, lange nicht. Das wird er wahrscheinlich auch nicht.